This is the first class of the chapter index number and moving averages. Now, first class because I have divided this chapter into two different classes for obvious reasons, because we are going to discuss two broad topics. Now, in the first class, we are discussing index number. In the second class, we will be discussing the moving averages. So, to start off with, first let us give you few theoretical idea of what index number is. Now, those who are commerce students, for them I think it is already a done topic, so it will be easy for you. But for all those science students who are opting for this section, for you it is going to be something new. Now, what is basically index number? Now, if you have heard of the word index, that is the price index, which is a very common word being used. Now, index number is basically, it is a ratio or a percentage which gives us a trend or a variation of certain commodities. So if index number is high, then it shows that the value of that particular commodity, now that value can be anything, it can be the price, it can be the volume of production, it can be anything which has increased over the year. If the index number is more than 100, and if it is less than 100, then it shows that the same thing, that is the value, the price, anything for the matter of fact, has reduced over the period of time. So this is exactly what I have written here. Now, in general, in economics, or whenever we are calculating the price index of the commodities, or particularly the consumer price index, that is all those essential commodities which are required by any single consumer for their day-to-day living. If the consumer price index goes up by year after year, then we can say that the standard of living is getting higher and higher, or the cost of living is getting higher and higher, right? Or we can say that we are getting towards an inflation. Now, these are all economic terms which we are not much interested in. We are only interested in knowing how we calculate and evaluate index number. So for the theoretical part, if anybody is interested, you can always go and check on the topic over the internet, or you can ask your commerce friends for their economics book, or whichever subject they have this topic in. So basically, there are four different types of index numbers. The first one is price index, which we just talked about. Then we have the quantity index. Then we have the value index, and then special purpose indexes, obviously miscellaneous indexes, depending on whichever particular thing we are trying to analyze. Then, now, obviously price index means it gives us the changes, variation of price of certain commodities. Then we have quantity index, it gives us changes or variation in quantity. Now, there can be, the quantity can be anything, it can be volume, it can be some other like the numbers, anything. Then we have value indexes. Value indexes is again some particular value of certain thing, and special purpose indexes depend on whichever criteria or whichever parameter we are dealing with. So they are more or less the same thing, but given different names on basis of what we are dealing with, right? Now, how to construct or how to formulate index numbers. Now, to formulate index numbers, there are four different ways of doing so. One is simple aggregate, the second one is simple average of price relatives, or simply to put, simple average method, then weighted aggregate method and weighted average method. So basically there are two types of methods to construct index number. One is the aggregate method and the other one is the average method. Simple and weighted are just two different aspects where we have in the simple method we are not giving any preference to any particular commodity, but in case of weighted we definitely give the preference to one commodity over the other. For example, if we consider the consumer price index, in consumer price index is basically the price index calculated on all the goods and services that are related to a consumer, particularly to a household. So there can be food, there can be health, there can be transport, there can be housing, so all different commodities which are there. Now obviously in this, all these particular commodities don't have equal importance in any consumer, for any consumer. So definitely, for example, food has got much higher importance than say your health and transport, because we don't spend usually the same amount for food, I mean same amount for health and transport, the amount which we spend for food. So definitely in case of weighted index number, we are giving that, that deserved importance to particular commodity over the other for a better calculation, for accurate measurements. So let us start off with the simple aggregate method. Now once we understand the aggregate and average method, you will see that maybe it is weighted or not, the idea of doing the calculation using aggregate method and average method they are more or less same. Now what we will do, we will take up a problem and then we will be using the method to show how it is worked with. So say for example, this is the question given: a small industrial concern used 3 raw materials A, B and C in its manufacturing process. The price of the material was as shown. Using 2005 as the base year, calculate a simple aggregate price index for 2015. Now base year or base period means that is the starting period from which I am going to calculate, or I am going to measure the variation, or that is the period from where I am going to see how much change or variation has happened in the current year. Current year here is 2015 and the base year here is 2005. So let us start. Now to begin with, we need to prepare a table. Now just let me take you back to the previous slide once again. Now remember the values, we need to put all these values in a table. So what we are doing, we prepare this table. So basically we prepare the table where we are showing the commodities A, B, C, the price in 2005, which we are also marking as P0. P0 means this is the price in the base year, and P1, that is the price in the current year. Now for the simple aggregate method, always remember this is something, this word aggregate. This word aggregate means we are going to sum everything up at the beginning and then we are going to take the percentage. So aggregate means first the sum, then the percentage. So what we will do, we will add up all these quantity and write here. We will add up all these quantities and write here. Fine. So whatever is the total sum of all these values. So let us do that. So once we do it, this is what we get if we add up all the sorry for the interruption. Now after adding up, the sum of all the base prices is 100 and sum of all the current prices is 104. So therefore the formula for calculating the index number is summation of all the prices in the current year divided by the summation of all the prices in the base year multiplied by 100. So therefore your price index is 104. Now obviously this is a percentage. Now you can also consider this as a ratio as well. Now 104 means that from 2005 to 2015 there is a 4% increase in the price in all these three commodities, right? This is what price index means, right? Now let us move to the next one, that is the simple average method. Now in the simple average method, let me take a problem. Now in this problem we have a similar kind of problem. We have certain commodities, its price is given in the base year and its price is given in the current year. The base year here is 2009 and the current year here is 2010. So I have to calculate the price index using the simple average method of all these commodities. Now let me prepare the same table, but there will be few extra columns which we will be requiring. So the first, we will be preparing this table where we have the commodities, the base price and the current price, and then we will calculate the price relatives. So we will have this one extra column which we call as price relative. Now in the price relative column, what we do, we calculate the individual price index. Now individual price index means that is, in the previous method what we did, we calculated the price index by summing up all the base price and the current price and then finding the price index. But in case of simple average method, first we find the individual price indexes, which we also call as the price relatives, and then we sum them up and divide. So basically, remember this, in case of simple aggregate method, so this is, if it is, okay, let me just, if it is aggregate method, first we sum, then we divide. First we do the sum of the prices, then we divide, or then we take the percentage, right? In case of aggregate method, in case of average method, first we divide, that is, first we find the percentage, then we sum it up. So basically that's what we do, right? So just remember this, then it will be easy for you to work. Now, so let us first calculate all the price relatives. So price relatives, in the first case, it will be this way. Sorry. In the first case, this is going to be 21 divided by 20 into 100, right? So that will give you 105. So similarly, we go on calculating for all the other values, all the other commodities, and this is exactly what we get, right? Now our job will be to add them up. So this will be the sum of the price relatives, and then we will take the average of the price relatives. So if we add all the price relatives, this is what we get, and then if we average it out, that is, whatever is the sum divided by the number of commodities, so this is our price index for all these commodities for the year 2010. So I haven't written so much here, but definitely please do write, and also write what the price index means. So here it means that the commodities have an increase in price of 5.94% over the period of 2009 to 2010, right? Next we move to weighted aggregate method. Now weighted aggregate method, same as simple aggregate method, but there will be weights involved. So here let us see the question. So find the consumer index number of the year 2010 using 2000 as the base year by using method of weighted aggregate. Now obviously you can see the base price and the current price is given, and also there are certain weights given. So this weights gives us the idea that which one is more important than the other. So the one which is having the maximum weight means that that is more important, that is more consumed than the ones which is having lesser weight. So now this is given in a horizontal table, so we have to prepare a vertical table. So let me prepare the vertical table, and along with that there will be few other columns. So let me prepare those columns as well. So this is what the table looks like. So we will have the commodity, we will have the base price, we'll have the current price, and then we will have the weights. Now there will be two extra columns. Now remember the simple aggregate method. In simple aggregate method, what we did, we added up all the prices first, and then we did find the percentage. So here we are going to do the same thing, but first we need to multiply the weights, because the weights are basically the quantities of each and every commodity consumed. So therefore let us calculate those values and also let us add them up. So after calculating the weight, calculating the product with the price and the weight, and then adding up, we have these two values. So do it all by yourself. It is simple calculation. I'm sure you will be able to understand. So now what will be the price index? It will be the same way, the sum of the current price divided by sum of the base price into 100. But here now, as we have weights, so summation of P1W by summation of P0W into 100, and that gives you 139.24. so which means that over this 10 years from 2000 to 2010, the prices have gone up by 39.24%. Fine. So that's what it means. Next, weighted average method. Now same as the weighted a simple average method, first we need to find the individual percentages, then we need to add them up. So therefore let's take one problem here. So calculate the index number for the year 2009 with 2000 as base from the following data. So again, commodities, weights, and the prices in both the years given. So we need to make the same table once again, but here there will be the column, two extra columns, which will be a little bit different from the previous one. In the first case, we will be calculating the price relatives. So let us mark the price relatives by I. We denote the price relatives by I. So that is P1 by P0 into 100. Then we have another column, that is IW. IW is basically the price relatives multiplied with the weights, and then we will be summing up all the price relatives, weighted price relatives, and then we will sum up all the weights and will divide. So let us calculate this. So once we calculate this, see what are the things we require. First, we require the sum of all weighted price relatives, that is summation of IW, and we need all the weights, sum of the weights, that is summation W. So after we have done all the calculation, we have found out what is the sum of IW and sum of W, then definitely price index is summation IW divided by summation W, and that is 171.24. That means the price has gone up by 71.24%. So please ensure you write that statement. I hope this is clear now. Now once this is done, now there are few different types of problems. So these are the four basic problems which explains the four different methods. Now we will be taking up one problem which is a little bit different from all these 4 types, or rather to say a different kind of problem involving index number. So let us take that problem. The problem here is basically a problem where we have missing values in the price, and we have to calculate. So what are the things given? We are given the index number of the following data for the year 2011, taking 2010 as the base year, was 116. So what you are given, you are already given what is the index number. Then you are also mentioned which method has been applied for calculation, which is important. If you are not mentioned which method is applied, then what you can do, you can make use of any method you want, for sure, but it is always good that the method is mentioned in the question so that you know which method you are supposed to make use of. Then find the numerical values of x and y if the sum of prices in the year 2011 is 203. So you are given 2 things. One is the total index number of the calculation, and also you are given the sum of all the current prices, that is 203. So we will make use of this to calculate our x and y. So let us form the table. So here it is the table. So as it is told, simple aggregate method. So remember, in simple aggregate method, what we do, we add up all the prices and then we find the percentage. So in case of the current year, if we add it up, we get 135 plus x. In case of, for the base year, it is 135 plus x, and for the current year, it is 150 plus y. So now we are already given that sum of all the prices in the current year is 203. So therefore, from there we can write 203 is basically equals to 150 plus y, and from there y is becoming 53. And then we are told that index number is 116. So therefore, summation P1 by summation P0 into 100, that is 116, or that is 203 by 135 plus x into 100 is 116. So we cross multiply and calculate. So we get this 20300 is equals to 15660 plus 116x, or 116x is 4640, or that gives you x to be 40. Right? So this is how you calculate, or this is how you solve a problem where you have missing values. Obviously, depending on which method has been used, depending on that, your calculation will vary. Fine. So that's it. That is our class. That is our first class of the chapter index number and moving average. We meet in a while for the second class. Thank you.